acknowledge what you're going through, reach out and get help if you need, but take that moment and pause and respond instead of react. And then you can move forward. And having and giving gratitude really started changing my perspective. And it started allowing me to see that just because things didn't work out how I thought they should and how I wanted them to, didn't mean that they were wrong.
Welcome to the Live, Love, Survive, Thrive podcast that helps you embrace life's challenges, grow through adversity, and discover your true potential. I'm your host, Dr. Kimberly Hubinet, anti-aging dentist, widow, author, and inspirational coach. I live by the Can I philosophy, constant and never-ending improvement, and I'm here to help you do the same. Each week, we'll dive into real conversations, powerful stories, and practical tools to help you heal, grow, and thrive. Whether you're rebuilding after loss or ready to step into a more purposeful life, this space is for you. Let's grow, evolve, and thrive together. Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Live, Love, Survive, Thrive. I'm Dr. Kimberly Hubinet, and I am so happy to see everybody today. And I have a special guest today. Her name is Megan Radke Madrid, and I met her through a possibility of a social media links. And she actually is in a women's group that I just joined as well. And we just realized that we're in the same group. And she's an ordained minister, spiritual healer, artist, author, brand ambassador reviewer, model and actress, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and she calls herself a maverick of sorts. So, with that being said, I'm going to let her explain what these things are because it's a mouthful and I don't want to spoil it for you guys. So, Megan, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you, doctor. And hi, everybody. Thank you for listening. Yes, I'm Megan Radke Madrid. I am an ordained minister, spiritual healer, artist, author, brand ambassador, reviewer, model, actress, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. That's why I say maverick of sorts, because it is a vast variety of different things that I do. And anything that I put my mind to, I can achieve. And I believe everybody is possible of that. So.
Yeah, when you first attracted to my Live, Love, Survive, Thrive podcast, I looked at your profile and I was thinking, wow, that's a lot of things. And what attracted me was your story of the behind how it is that you survived. And what caught my eye was about your life losing your husband of 23 years. And then you became homeless with your 3 dogs.
Yes, I became homeless with my 3 dogs before my husband passed away. And with his medical conditions and everything, it was best for the hospital to keep him. And so then I stayed close by, either in my vehicle that I had at the time, or eventually we were freestyle camping in a tent close by. So if they needed me, I could be there. It wasn't until after high tide washed away the tent that he begged me, please go to Oklahoma where I had family. And that way he knew I was going to be safe. And so I took me and the 3 dogs and we stayed with some family for a little while he was still in the hospital trying to get better.
And where were you guys at again? You were living somewhere and then you moved to Oklahoma.
Houston, Texas is where that was.
I see. So that means you didn't get to see him.
I didn't get to see him very often, no. When I was homeless and staying close by, I would go visit him once a day. And the dogs would stay in the car. They would have like the windows down, water, food, everything. And I would make my trips in and out very quick. And he knew the reason why I couldn't stay very long. Before I went to Oklahoma, I did stop and see him, and I spent a little bit of time with him, and then I was able to come back and pick him up before he passed away and spend one great day with him before he ended up passing away. Me and all 3 of the dogs came down from Oklahoma to pick him up because we had a plan and we were going to get him stronger, healthier, happier, back on his feet because he was a double amputee with prosthetics, and so we had goals that we were going to do, and we never got to meet them.
Is it okay to ask you prior to him being like, was it a chronic illness that he died from, or what transpired?
Oh, he had heart failure, diabetic, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. He was also a kidney failure patient and had dialysis. We were at his dialysis center the day that he passed, and what eventually took him was a blood clot went to his heart.
And so, as a double amputee, was it because of the diabetes or something, kidney problems, that how did that happen?
The first amputation happened because he was wearing shoes that his work had recommended him to get, and they caused a sore on his foot when this happened back in 2017. And so we ended up taking him to the hospital because his doctor had ran samples on that, and she was like, "Wait a minute, this is septic. You need to come into the hospital." So we got him to the hospital. While he was in the hospital in 2017, I had just dropped off my niece to school that I was taking care of, and I got a call from the hospital saying, "Hey, we need you to sign papers. He needs a blood transfusion." And I was like, "Okay, I'm in the parking lot. I'll be up in a minute." I came in, signed the papers. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of if you get a blood transfusion and you've never had a blood transfusion before, a possible side effect is heart attack. That happened.
Hmm.
When that happened, it shut his whole body down. He coded 5 times and had to get rushed from the hospital he was at to a different hospital because they did not have the machinery to keep him alive at the hospital he was at.
Wow.
So in 2017, when that happened, he was in a coma for 11 days. When he woke up, because he was in a coma, they had to put what they call a D shield on him because while you're in a coma, you still have bowel movements and things of that nature, but they improperly inserted it and tore his colon. So, waking up from a coma, he's bleeding and having to have multiple blood transfusions. He's got an infection on his leg. He just had a heart attack that they need to repair. The doctors don't know what to do. They're arguing back and forth of what to do. I finally step in and tell him, find the bleeding, fix the bleeding, take care of the infection so it doesn't go any farther, then address the heart. And then after that, he went into physical therapy and had to relearn how to live, how to walk, how to talk, how to like he knew I looked familiar when he woke up from the coma, but he wasn't exactly sure who I was.
Wow. And you had been married for 23 years.
Not at that point.
Oh.
In 2017, when that happened, we had only been married for a few years.
Oh,
When he passed away in 2024, that was the 23-year mark.
got it. Got it. So, is it because of the medical bills that you had to become homeless? With all of the things that happened to you?
You know, when we were homeless in Houston, we had come up to Oklahoma to visit family around Thanksgiving, and our apartment knew that we were out of state. I was in contact with that manager. He got sick while he was here and had to, because he was a dialysis patient, had to go to the hospital to get dialysis, and they kept him because his health wasn't going to let him be discharged. I contacted the apartments that we were at and I told them our situation. She told me everything would be okay, not to worry about it. She'd work with me. While we were gone, they got a default judgment and evicted us. Posted it on our front door even though she knew we were not in state and we're not going to get that, and we did not get to go to the court hearing, so they got a default judgment against us. When we finally got discharged from the hospital in Oklahoma and went back down, they allowed us to clear out our stuff from the apartment. They wouldn't take payment, and with a default eviction notice on our record, nobody would rent to us. So then we were going and staying at, like, extended stays, things like that. We exhausted our savings, and then when I couldn't afford any more of the extended stays, I had let the hospital know our situation to try and get a social worker to help us, to see what we could do. When they found that out, they were like, "Okay, we cannot release your husband because of his health." And I said, "I completely understand that." And then that's when I did what I could with the 3 dogs, staying in the car, staying nearby, staying in a tent,
Wow.
and still reaching out to services, trying to get anything that we could. Nobody was helping. We were getting told that even though he was in the hospital, since he was technically still working or classified as still working, even though he wasn't, he technically made too much for us to get assistance.
Wow.
And about the only people that would help was, like, food banks would help. They would give us groceries, but if you're homeless in your car or in a tent and you don't have a way to cook that food, store that food, a lot of it is useless unless it is ready to eat, no refrigeration needed.
Right. Mm. You know, the things that you've accomplished over the past few years then, had you already had all these businesses before
No,
this happened? So this
no.
catapulted you to get to all of this.
When I was in the tent before he passed away and the girls are cuddled up around me and I was praying and I'm thinking and I'm going, okay, there's got to be a rhyme and a reason, a purpose for all of this. And then that's when I was like, okay, just start writing about your experiences, what you've gone through, get your story out there. People need to hear it and maybe it will help somebody. So I started writing. I didn't do become the author until recently. I've self-published 2 books. I just finished my 3rd and I'm looking for publishers to see about getting that out to the world. But my first 2 books I've self-published and they're out there. One's on Amazon and it is called How I Lost Everything and Everyone but in the End Found Myself in the End. It's on Amazon for $9.99. Unless you have Kindle, then it's free. And then the first book was The Adventures of Chica and Meg and the Greyhound Bus. It's free and it's on my LinkedIn profile. Anybody that wants to read that can.
What's that one
Uh,
about? Who's Chica and Meg?
I'm Meg, and Chica is my service animal. She's a blue nose pit that I'm her second owner, and she goes and does pretty much everything with me. We took a Greyhound bus adventure from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Boston, and that is talking about everything that happened during that and how we managed to get through it because it was not an easy breezy, beautiful vacation work thing that it was supposed to be. It was actually some trials and tribulations happened during it. But it talks about, like, how they lost all of my belongings and her belongings, what they put us through, how they treated us, how we ended up having to get police help and really stand strong with, "No, you cannot kick us off of the bus, and you have to let us on." Because at that time, she was not my service animal, she was my emotional support animal, and
Uh-huh.
I was very clear and upfront with them from the very beginning that she was my emotional support animal, and I never referred to her as a service animal. And I even paid extra with the ticket to talk to a live person, to tell them that, and absolutely everything. And they kept telling me, "Oh, it'd be okay. It's not a problem." I had her letter, I had her shot records, everything. But when they lost all of our luggage, they lost all of that with it. So I've had to, like they've even lost my passport, my personal documents. the last few things that I had of my husband's was also in my belongings there that they still have not gotten back to me. But that book talks about all of that. I call it a book, but it's kind of like a short story because I just briefly go over that experience. And then I have a few others about the Chica and Meg adventures that have not been published yet. But we talk about how she's gotten over water traumas and grooming traumas and has swam in waterfalls with me and the different places we've gone. So they're not all hardship and sadness. A lot of them are actually uplifting and very sweet.
Did you have her before your husband passed away, or is she a newer dog?
I had all 3 of my dogs.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and 0 weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
Before my husband passed away, she and him at first had to get used to each other because they did not want to share me and they did not want to share the bed. But in the end, they became best buddies. Because I told her job was to watch him, and she did. She took that very serious. She would watch him, and she even tried to learn how to help move him around in the wheelchair.
What a smart dog.
And she's very smart. Right now, she's right there sleeping. Oh, there she is.
Oh my gosh, she looks like my dog. I have a Pitty also.
You do? They're amazing.
She's my best friend. She's my emotional support dog too, but yeah, I understand what you say about emotional support versus service animal.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I started off as emotional support, but then I transitioned. I was her trainer, and I have now transitioned to where she is technically considered a service animal. It's service animal psychiatric because she can do medical alerts and psychiatric alerts. So
Wow, I would love to learn how to train my dog for that.
there is courses, and the reason I did the self-training was so I would have the videos, so then I could always go over them again if we need to refresh and relearn anything. Because like, life happens, and sometimes you get knocked out of your schedule and your routine, and when that happens, that knocks them out of their schedules and routines, and so being able to have the videos and being able to go back and refresh and re-go over things, it helps her, it helps me. So
Wow. Folks, and to the listeners, I had no idea that Meg had a dog kind of like mine. And, you've heard some of my other podcasts, or I had my trainer on, and we talked about how dogs could be helpful at our times of grief. And this is totally an amazing correlation that now I find out that Meg has this dog and 2 more dogs, right? You have 3 dogs, and
yes.
this one dog is, totally, just looks like my dog, Dakota, so much like her. So tell me a little bit about what did the early stages of grief look like for you, and what helped you move through it?
The early stages of grief, they looked typical at first. The normal stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. But then it was like in a rapid, weird way, and in a deja vu kind of way that it happened because of everything I experienced from 2017, like I mentioned before. So all 4 of those, like, stages happened. My husband passed away in the restroom at his dialysis center, so all 4 of the first stages happened in the restroom with Caesar and I before they started CPR, before they got him out of there and to the hospital or anything. And then it was followed by shock and acceptance and numbness, and my fur babies helped me get through it because I had 3 other souls that were depending on me, and if I did not physically make myself get up and go and keep moving and keep looking forward to tomorrow, they would have been out of luck too. They would have been completely lost, and I mean, we all grieved, we all went through, and that was the first time I really noticed that even animals, they grieve just like humans. They looked for him, they mourned his loss just like I did. But we helped each other, all of us, get through it, and they help me to this day.
Do you think that they know he's not coming back?
I think they know that because at first they would look for him, and when I had more of his, like, when I had to go through our belongings and stuff like that, and his wheelchair and everything that was around, they kept looking for him. They were confused and didn't know what to think of it then, but as I healed and as I was able to let go and not hoard and not hold on to everything, it got easier and better for them, and then I think they started to realize what our new normal was, and that our new normal didn't include him.
You said that you hoarded things, like, you kept a lot of his stuff.
At first, I didn't wanna let go of anything. I was emotionally attached to it because it was all I had.
Mhm. Like
But
clothes or
yeah, it was his clothes, it was his, like, personal belongings, and then I realized I don't have to keep a hold of those things to still have a hold of the memory and the love that we shared. I didn't have to keep storing things that I wasn't gonna be using, needing, and that just brought sadness when I saw it, that other people could use. Because, like, with his health issues and stuff, I had a lot of medical stuff that could be used, but I didn't need it. With his clothes, they were still great usable clothes, but I don't need them. And so I got to the point where I could donate
yeah,
everything that was
donated.
donatable.
Okay,
Yeah. And
nice.
then anything that wasn't donatable, if it was like a keepsake, like pictures and stuff like that, I kept. If it was not donatable, but not a keepsake, then those things got thrown away, but it was a process.
How long did it take you to go through this process, or are you still going through it?
I finished that process back in 2025. The last thing I had to go through was a storage unit that we had together in Texas, so I ended up going down to Texas and clearing that out. So the storage unit that we were in Texas, that was the only storage unit I've ever known that doesn't let you use their trash cans. And so I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. And they also didn't let people come and pick up because it was a locked facility. So I could not set up anybody to come and pick up donations, and I could not throw away anything. So I ended up having to bring everything with me. So I ended up loading it all up on a trailer and bringing it from Texas to Oklahoma. And then when I got to Oklahoma, I slowly went through it and was able to get rid of stuff, have a donation pile, a keep pile, and a throw out pile. It took a couple of months, but before Thanksgiving of 2025, I had all of that taken care of.
Wow. Was there a moment when you realized you were not just surviving, but starting to live truly again?
Yes. I started noticing myself in the little moments of life, like how I was doing things normal to me again. And what I mean by little things is I would happy dance when I ate something that I thought was good, or I would pancake dance when I was making pancakes or while I was cooking. And that's when I realized I wasn't in survival mode anymore, but I was actually living, and I was able to eat without, because like before I was eating, but there was no emotion. I was going through the steps, but I wasn't feeling anything. And then after I was starting to realize I was eating and I was feeling things and I was happy and smiling and present.
Mm-hmm. How long did that take from the time that he passed to that time frame?
That, like, was hit and miss at first because, like, when he passed, we were in Texas, and I was having to figure out how to, like, get his final wishes done, which was be buried next to his parents and not cremated, and everybody was telling me, "Just cremate him and don't worry about it," and I was like, "No, I'm not gonna not follow his final wishes." And so I was having to deal with all of that at first, but then I would have a moment where I was like, "Oh, he would like this," and I would smile, and then I would be like, "Oh, okay, wait a minute, he's not here anymore." So it fluctuated, it went back and forth, and it took a little bit, but I eventually started leveling out and having more moments where I was thriving and not surviving about 6 months after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because folks, sometimes it takes years, sometimes it takes a few months, and sometimes it just takes like a few days, but most
It's
of the
different.
time different.
Yeah. It's different for everybody, and that is okay. I think what helped was I didn't have any secrets with him. I didn't have any regrets. And with everything that we went through, I mean, it was a little bit of deja vu. It was like I had been here before, I've done this before. They had been trying to prepare me for it since 2017. But everybody's different, and that's okay as long as you don't get stuck in the dwelling. What helped was I processed my feelings. I acknowledged how I felt. I allowed myself to feel them, and then I moved forward.
Did you have any professional help or you just did it on your own?
I did all that on my own. I heavily relied on my faith and my connection to God and my spiritual team. I've been to therapy, and if you need therapy, then that's okay. The only professional help that I did seek is I did join a grief group briefly. And while I was there, I realized a lot of them were still stuck in dwelling, and it was not going to be productive for me to stay in that group. And so I had to excuse myself from that group because at that point I was 6 months to 8 months have already lost him, and some people had been 12 plus years lost somebody, and it was as if it had happened that day to them.
Mm,
And for me being around that, I would have backtracked and not moved forward.
yeah, how does someone know that if they are stuck versus not stuck? Do you think that those people knew that they were stuck? Or do you think that those people thought that they were getting better?
Some of them thought that they were getting better, but in that group, we got a workbook, and one of the chapters was talking about, "Are you stuck in dwelling?" And I was there for that class, and I think between what I was sharing and what the book was saying and the video that they were having us watch, they then started to realize that they were stuck and dwelling and not addressing the issues that they were having. But some of them didn't want to address the issues that they were having because they weren't wanting to. You first have to acknowledge what is going on and what the problem is or what the loss is before you can come up with a solution. And some of them weren't willing to acknowledge. Some of them still wanted to pretend that they were going to go home and their loved one that had passed was going to be there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, the lady, I can't divulge any information about that because that's all confidential, but when she shared that, I mean, I have had moments where I call it like a ghost date, where on hard times but where I celebrate the person and I acknowledge them and I don't just grieve their loss, but I'm not delusional thinking that they're actually there with me. I
Mm,
mean, they're there with me in spirit, but not physically present.
yes. So you believe that you can connect with your loved one through spirituality.
I believe people can connect with their loved ones through spirituality if they choose to. I believe we get signs and synchronicities if you are open to that. And if you are open to that and you specifically ask, a lot of the times I will get like all of a sudden a cardinal or a blue jay or something would, if I'm outside, will catch my eye, or I'll get a sense of a smell that reminds me of somebody that has passed. And I'm like, oh, and their name pops up in my head when that happens. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. That's what I mean by connecting with them in spirituality. Cause like you'll think about somebody because you'll see like their favorite color or food, or it's their birthday or an anniversary. And I mean, our loved ones don't want us to keep grieving them. They want us to celebrate them. They want us to remember them, but not be stuck in dwelling in loss and sorrow.
So, on that note, are those the unexpected gifts that you think that you see or emerge after your loss or struggle, or were there other signs? What are some unexpected gifts that emerged from your loss and your struggle?
Some of the unexpected gifts, I stopped focusing on everybody and everything else and how they felt. That was an unexpected gift because it literally allowed me to get healthier, stronger than I've ever been physically, emotionally, mentally. My connection to the divine and my spiritual team, the universe, animals, and my ancestors amplified tremendously. And then I also received guidance and clarity. It came through undeniably. And I was able to then dive into all of those things that I've been able to achieve throughout the years and really focus on myself. And focusing on myself allowed me to start helping so many others.
And so, for our listeners, what would you say that you have a few habits or practices that you'd like to share that help transform your situation the most?
Reconnecting with nature however I could, even if that was just standing outside, breathing and looking around and being present for 5 minutes at a time. Having and giving gratitude really started changing my perspective, and it started allowing me to see that just because things didn't work out how I thought they should and how I wanted them to, didn't mean that they were wrong.
Mm. So, do you have a quote that you live by or that is a mantra for yourself to keep moving forward?
There's been a few, but the ones that stand out the most right now, at first it was my past does not define me. Get up out of that grave, because the reason I kept thinking of those is because people kept trying to throw things like labels, because I'm a recovering addict and I'm not anymore. I'm clean and sober for over 4 years now. But they kept trying to say addict and other things, homeless. And I went from homeless to homeowner. I am no longer an addict. And so that's why I kept saying my past doesn't define me. Get up out of that grave. And then as of recent, it's been I am what I say I am. And it sounds a little blunt to say it that way, but it's true. And then another one was to plant a garden is to have faith and hope for the future. Because I was throughout all of that, I was also like gardening as I could. And I was thinking, why would I garden when all of this is going on? But it's because I never stopped having hope and faith for the future.
You have a lot of careers. Do you have businesses in all of these things, or
Okay, I am an entrepreneur and my business is Divinely Guided LLC. And that is the professional speaker, artist aspect of it. I am an ordained minister and I have my credentials for that. That is separate. That is also with the spiritual healing. And then I am my own agent and representative for the reviewing, modeling, acting, and then my philanthropy work I've always done. Even when I was homeless, I was still feeding the homeless.
So you didn't see yourself as the homeless?
Oh, I knew my situation and I fully accepted it. But when we were on the beach, my husband would call me and be like, honey, I'm worried about you. And I'm like, hey, I understand. And I fully grasp what's going on right now. But I would watch what I said to myself and I would watch how I worded it. And so I told him, look, I have beachfront property. And I would take a picture and I'd show him the view. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. I never gave up hope knowing that it was not going to always be like that forever.
So before he got sick, was he the sole provider?
Before he got sick, no. I was a paralegal and a paraprofessional for the special education department, autistic high schoolers. And then I was also a caregiver for elderly. When he became a double amputee, he asked me to be his full-time caregiver, so I quit all of my jobs and I became his full-time caregiver. And then he, with my help, was still able to work until he started getting sick again towards the end.
Mm. So with all of your past history, what would you say is the best thing that you could explain to the listeners of how you live, love, survive, and thrive now?
Okay. How would I best describe how I live, love, and thrive now?
Yeah. And I feel like you're thriving. You told me yes.
Yes, I'm thriving. I even going through a little bit of a hiccup right now that I'm currently going through, I would still consider myself thriving. And the only reason I would say that is because I know that the tactics that they used right now, because I don't know if you can see the video, but it's a little dark now. Where I'm currently staying, they illegally shut off my electricity.
Oh, okay.
And I am currently trying to combat that. I live in an RV now. So my home that I own is an RV. That's how come I said I went from homeless to homeowner. And even though I'm going through this thing, I know they're in the wrong with how they went about it. And I know that I'm still going to be okay. And my dogs are going to be okay. And I'm still considered thriving. I allowed everything I went through to help. I learned something. I got stronger, I got braver, I got educated in so many different areas. And at the time, I did not know that they would come in handy. But then it's allowed me to sit there and go, okay, what am I really good at? What do I like doing? And how can I move forward with those things? So then I wasn't going to be a work slave, but everything I do is enjoyable, even though I do a lot. Everything I work towards has been fairly successful. I've gotten to be able to do quite a bit of things under all of those different things. Like I said, published 2 books. Third book is finished and writing, but I'm looking for a publisher. I have done several different things as a brand ambassador and promotional model. I have over 26 brands and gigs from that. Going from my first one was Just Strong Clothing, Rena Fitness, Tanganyika Wildlife Park is another one that I've helped with, and Crush Soda was another one that I just did. I have a tear sheet in a magazine I was published in September of 2025 in the Fashion Republic magazine. I've been in a runway show and worked with other designers. I've been in background for a movie. that also had Colin Ford and C. Thomas Howell in. It's called South of Stillwater. So I've been able to accomplish a lot of those things because I did not let any of the trials and tribulations that I was going through weigh me down. So to the listeners out there, I would tell them, acknowledge what you're going through, reach out and get help if you need, but take that moment and pause and respond instead of react. And then you can move forward.
You know, you embody thriving. I can see in your face you're happy, you're
Oh, yes.
smiling. Like nothing gets you down. I mean, geez, half of the people probably wouldn't be able to survive the most of the things that you have, and you're still up on top because folks, think about this. You could be rich in life and you could really be rich in emotions and you can be rich in monetarily, but basically rich in life could mean so many things. And I
Oh,
feel
yeah. It's,
like you are.
yeah. Wealthy and rich can mean so many different things. And I do consider myself well off, and because I can have slow mornings, and being my own boss allows me to do that. I get to spend more time with my fur babies, which are my family now. And I can go for walks and watch sunsets and stargaze. And to me, being able to slow down and do all of that, that does make me rich in life.
Yeah, I can see that. It's been so great to have you on my podcast. How can the listeners keep in contact with you? And do you have a website and so forth that, you want to connect with people? Megan is available via social media because that's how I found you and how we found each other. So you want to tell the guests how to keep in touch with you and how you could help them?
Okay. I do not currently have a website because that's one thing that I'm not the tech savvy person. So that's one thing I still need to do. I've been trying to learn and get that accomplished, but they can reach out to me through social media. On Facebook, I'm Meg RR Madrid. They can reach me on my all casting profile, which is Megan Radke Madrid, and all my social media links are there on that. I have an email and a phone number for Divinely Guided, and they can reach out to me that way, divinelyguided108@gmail.com, or they can contact my business phone at 918-409-4334.
Good. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and spending some time with the listeners here. Folks, just listen and guide the way that life happens and the stories that we hear and the inspirational things that we hear from all of the guests on the show. I think Megan has had such a interesting life so far, and you're so young. You have a whole more life to live and give. So I'm so happy that you had time to spend and talk to our listeners today.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was great getting to know you and being able to be part of this. So thank you.
Yeah. Did you have a joke that you wanted to share with us today?
Okay, I do. All right. What is more daring than a rock?
I don't know.
A boulder.
Ah, that's cute. Really cute.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Kimberly Hubinet, and this is Live, Love, Survive, Thrive. And I'll see you next time on the next episode. Until then, make it a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Live, Love, Survive, Thrive. I hope our time together has inspired you to embrace life's challenges, find the courage to overcome obstacles, and create a life filled with love, purpose, and fulfillment. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Your feedback means the world to me and to help us continue to bring you stories and tools to empower your journey. And if you have a story of resilience, transformation, or thriving after adversity, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me directly at livelovesurvivethrive@gmail.com. You never know, your story might just be the inspiration someone else needs to hear. To learn more about me and my work, visit my website at www.drkimberlyhubinet.com. While you're there, be sure to check out my current book, Grid. Once in a lifetime, you get to start over. A guide to rebuilding and rediscovering life after loss. Get a sneak peek at my upcoming book, Live, Love, Survive, Thrive, a powerful companion to this podcast, and a heartfelt roadmap to reclaiming joy, resilience, and meaning after life's toughest seasons. You can also connect with me on social media. Follow me on Facebook at author Dr. Kimberly Hubinet, and follow me on Instagram with the same name. And subscribe to my YouTube channel at Live, Love, Survive, Thrive for more inspiration and insights. Remember, you have the power within you to write your story and thrive beyond your wildest imaginations. Keep relearning to live, love, survive, thrive every single day. Until next time, I'm Dr. Kimberly Hubinet, and this is Live, Love, Survive, Thrive.